Morning everyone, today I'm going to be comparing the D500 and D7500 cameras from Nikon. So I made a video recently talking about how I'd got the D500 to replace my D7500, and if you haven't seen that one I'll link it up top here. And I'm a little bit sad that I'm going to be selling the D7500 soon, because it really has been an excellent camera. But before I do sell it, I wanted to make a video comparing the two bodies. And I could go through all the different specs and minute detail about how these cameras differ and are the same. But I'll save you all that time and just tell you that basically the D500 is the better camera. The D7500 is basically the same camera as the D500, but with just some of the better features removed. So I'm not going to go through every single minute detail like I said, but I will be talking about the main benefits of the D500 over the D7500. And I'll also talk at the end about some of the features that the D7500 has, which might make it a better choice for some people over the D500. So I've come to a local area. There are a lot of birds around here. I have seen a kingfisher here before, but only once and never again. But you never know, we might see it. I'm going to be taking some shots, talking about the differences and the similarities between these two cameras. And yeah, hopefully we'll get some good shots along the way. So I've got a Nikon D7500 lens here. It's not an amazing lens by any stretch of the imagination. It's quite average, but I have got two of them. So that means I can put one on each body, and then when we're comparing the shots, we'll know that any differences are not because of the lens, it's going to be down to the bodies. I've got both cameras in continuous autofocus mode, and I'm using the maximum number of autofocus points on each camera. So I'm just going to start by talking about the sensors in these cameras. They've got the exact same sensor and same processor, so image quality is pretty much identical. I'm just going to take a picture of these leaves here. That's with the D500, D700. I'll put those on screen and you should be able to see that the image quality is pretty much identical. So in image quality alone, the D7500 looks like a great option, considering it's exactly the same as the D500 and the camera costs a lot less. The D500 definitely has the advantage when it comes to burst rate. This can manage 10 frames a second, whereas the D7500 can do 8. So still pretty good for the D7500. 8 a second is not bad, but you've got 2 more per second, and that can make all the difference when you're shooting fast moving animals like birds. Another feature of the D500, which is a major upgrade of the D7500, is the focusing system. The D500 has got 153 focus points compared to just 51 on the D7500, and 99 of the ones on the D500 are cross-type, and that's better because a cross-type sensor can check for movement or changes in 2 directions compared to just one with a normal focus point, and that means it's just a lot more accurate. So it's hard to show you this on video, but when I'm tracking birds in the sky and I'm using continuous autofocus, the D500 is just a lot more accurate. It'll snap onto the bird and I'll get more shots in my burst which are in focus and therefore you're just maximising your chances of getting a good shot basically. Another thing I found is that if I'm taking a picture of a bird in a tree, for example, with lots of leaves and dense foliage around it, the D7500 sometimes struggles focusing on the bird, it'll focus on the leaves instead. Whereas the D500 will consistently focus on the bird itself and not so much on the leaves. So that's one major advantage with the D500. The D7500 has only got one card slot, it's an SD card here. However, the D500 has got two card slots, so that's a major advantage. It means that you can shoot and store images on two cards. You can use it as a backup, you can also record RAWs to one card, JPEGs to another, if that's what you want to do. But the main thing for me is that you've got an XQD card slot, and XQD cards tend to be a lot faster read and write speeds than an SD card. And the last benefit of the D500 that I want to highlight is not really one thing at all, it's actually a group of things. It's just quality of life upgrades on this camera compared to the D7500. So you've got a better viewfinder, you've got a better screen on the back, it's higher resolution, it's more robust, you've got a joystick, you have a little blind that comes down over the viewfinder just to block any light getting into there when you're not using it. And the D7500 by no means is bad to use, it feels great. But those little extra features on the D500 just that little bit better. So those are the main benefits of the D500 for me, what I've chosen to single out. There are others, but like I said, I'm not going to go into the minutiae. But why might you want to choose the D7500 over the D500? Well, there are some benefits. One of those is that it's a lot smaller and lighter than the D500. Its frame, its size is smaller, so you can fit it into a smaller bag if you need to, if you're on a hike. And it's about 140 grams less as well, so that's a benefit. It also costs less, so that's good if you're on a budget. And you've got a flash on top. That's not going to be a deal breaker for a lot of people. I think most people who are deciding between these two cameras are probably going to be wanting to use them for action or wildlife. But if you do want it as an all-round camera and you're doing things like portraits perhaps, you might want the flash, so that could be a benefit there. If you are upgrading from the D7500 to the D500 like I am, you're going to notice a few little changes. It's basically the same experience in regards to the functions, but I think the key differences are that you have a mode dial on top of the D7500 to switch between manual, aperture priority, shutter priority, etc. Whereas on the D500 you have a little button that says mode and then you use the wheel at the back to change. I don't think either method is better than the other. Perhaps you could say on the D500 that pressing the button allows you to look through the viewfinder and change the mode while you're looking through the viewfinder, but I don't think that's a deal breaker personally. And the other difference is that on the D7500 you have a directional pad with an OK button in the centre, and I've gotten really used to using that. On the D500 the OK button is located on the left hand side panel instead. So again, I'll get used to that, but it is a bit of a difference. So what are my recommendations for these two cameras? I would say that if your budget can stretch to it, definitely go for the D500. It's more or less the same as the D7500 in terms of image quality, but with just much better focusing, better burst rate and quality of life features. You're getting a much better camera. If you can afford the D7500 brand new, then I would also consider maybe getting a second-hand D500. You're going to get it for around about the same price or even less, and you're going to get much more camera for your money. If you're wanting something lighter, smaller, but still really good quality, then the D7500 might be for you. So that's it for this video. It has been a hard one to do. It's difficult doing bird photography in general, but when you've got two cameras and you're trying to take pictures of the birds with both cameras at the same time, it is really tricky. So I hope it's been useful. If it has, then please consider giving it a like. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, then please consider doing that as well. You can click down here, the big red button, or over here on my face. And that way you'll keep up to date with everything I'm doing each and every week. There's a new video every Sunday morning, 10 AM UK time. So, like I said, that's it for this one. I hope you'll catch me next week for the next one. And until then, thanks a lot everyone, and bye for now.